Hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of Reliving the Extreme. Nate Maxon here, and just wanted, before I start the show, or officially start the show, just wanted to apologize for some of the audio during this episode. Someone's audio, wherever, somebody's audio, I'm not going to point any fingers, was giving us a bit of an echo with what they were recording on this week. So, that being said, there are some parts where you will hear an echo, and there's actually a part of the show that I'm actually cutting out because the echo was way too distracting. Part of my description of one of the matches. So if you hear a jump, that's what that is. Just wanted to let you know. The audio this week, not that good. But it's still a great episode of the show. We're discussing the January 30th episode of ECW from 1996. And I also want to remind you before the show starts, if you want to hear the unedited audio of each and every show for $5 a month, you can join us on Patreon at patreon.com/reliving the extreme. Other bonus content there. Plus, we do have a tier at $15 a month where you get everything that we offer. Plus, you get to be a periodical co-host at some point on the show. So if any of that interests you, please check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/reliving the extreme. And you can also check the show out now on YouTube. If you like to listen to your podcast on YouTube, you can go to the WNR Podcast Network page on YouTube. I am posting the shows there now as well. And Actually, I think if you just search Reliving the Extreme on YouTube, it should come up at this point. But if not, like I said, go to WNR Podcast Network on YouTube. And while you're there, subscribe. We appreciate your support. All of that being said, now let's get into the latest episode of Reliving the Extreme, January 30th, 1996 episode of ECW TV. Enjoy. Well, this week on Reliving the Extreme, we are discussing the episode of ECW from January the 30th, 1996. Nate Maxon, your host, here with you, along with my brother Aaron.
Hello, everybody.
And Mr. Slim Pickens, Chad Austin.
What's Slim Pickens?
Hey, you picked it, Pickens.
Well, I have what's going on. There's Francine.
We skipped a few weeks of the ECW TV show because the matches that were featured on about 2 weeks of the show were from the house party show that we watched and reviewed last week or the week before. I forget. It doesn't matter. But we'd already seen the shit, so we skipped a couple of weeks, and we got ourselves into an ECW arena taping. And there is a lot going on this episode of ECW.
There's a lot going on, but there's nothing going on. It's
dude, Aaron, you just stole words out of my mouth. There's a lot going on, but what actually happened? They call that a schmoz. All that's a schmoz. I mean, Mr. Hughes was involved. Seriously. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, they show us. They start the show off by showing us footage from last week with Tommy Dreamer and Shane Douglas forming an alliance because neither one of them like Cactus Jack and the whole Raven thing being involved. And Shane Douglas just came back a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and he's already back in the main event mix again. And they do a little apologizing for him. I like how they do that. They're like, when he leaves to go to the WWF, they're like, goddamn no good, lousy traitor. All of a sudden he sucks. And now that he's back, they're like, well, he got a little injured, so he had to go wrestle somewhere where he didn't have to wrestle as Extreme. But he's back to 100% now, and we like Shane Douglas again.
I mean, now at this point, I would say 3 or 4 weeks ago, I had a problem with it. Now I don't. Because Shane now he adopted it, and he's taking it to run with it, going, well, nobody else was. I was the guy that went. Now I'm back. All right. Yeah, I mean, I went to the big Fed, and I was a small fish in the big pond. Let's be honest. But now that I'm back in ECW. And it was almost, and this is one of the kind of cases where it almost didn't miss a beat. because you almost didn't know he was gone. What was it? He said 5 months, 6 months he was gone?
Yeah. It was from he debuted in the WWF in August, and we're in January, and he's already back. So yeah, 4 or 5 months.
Because the Raven Dreamer feud. During that time, they had the Mexicans come. You know what I mean? Like there was no nobody missed Shane then until he came out.
And I mean, it's like the way he did it was great because he could come back and be like, they shit on me, they fucked me over. You know what I mean? It's not like he went there and he was Shane Douglas and it failed. So he can use that in his defense. It's not Shane Douglas didn't go to the WWF and not succeed. They made me Dean Douglas, and that's what sucked. It wasn't me; it was the character they gave me.
Everybody saw that.
Not saying it's 100% correct, but that's the way he can sell it. Is I didn't get over in the WWF because the WWF didn't know how good I was.
So now you're saying. Steve. So now you're saying since Tommy and Shane are now a tag team, we can call them the Put-Upons.
Yeah.
Put upon Tommy and put upon Shane, the put upon
Shane.
Yeah, pretty much. That's how it goes, buddy.
The pudding cups.
Pudding cups. Joey intros the show and shows us footage from the ECW arena, this event that the TV taping's taking place in front of, and he shows footage of Heck Myers versus Mr. Hughes with Damian Kane as Mr. Hughes' corner.
All right.
So do you know Damian Kane, Chad? Did you ever work with Damian Kane?
Yeah, I worked with Damian Kane a whole lot of times.
And I may or may not have asked you this before, but every time I see him, I probably have asked, but every time, he's so sporadic. Every time I see him, I'm like, I wonder if Chad worked with that guy.
No, it's not that I worked with him. It's the fact that he had the promoter's license in Pennsylvania. And if it wasn't at this time, Paul and Todd had split up. So Paul needed somebody that had a promoter's license in Pennsylvania to run spot shows. And Damian had his own little company, which I worked for Damian before, during, and after ECW. That he had a license in Pennsylvania because they weren't giving anymore. It was grandfathered. It was stupid the way that it worked. And Damian had the promoter's license, so Paul used him so he could use his license for spot shows.
Okay, got you.
And that's not even a new thing. It's not even anything that was new in the business. Lawler did it 30 years ago.
Well, what Vince McMahon Sr. did it with that Phil Zacco guy or whatever? Because didn't he have the license in Pennsylvania that Vince McMahon Sr. used? I think it was Zacco.
I just watched a Raw. I'm chronologically watching Raw, and I've gotten a 98. And Cornette is bringing he's in the they're ending that NWA invasion angle they tried to do, and he's bitching about how WWF is screwing the NWA, and he's going to contact his lawyers, and the lawyers are Zackow, Sandow, and Pfeiffer.
Well, that's funny.
And I was like, yeah, I get that. That's funny shit.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's somebody that's been in the fucking office.
Yeah.
Dude, fuck him, and fuck him. You know what I mean? It's Cornette, dude. What are you gonna do?
Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
That's Paul. That's Paulie's lawyers.
Then we get
more about real quick. Damian Kane, was he an okay guy to deal with, or was he a douche?
No, I always thought he was okay. Because I mean, if we were using Bad Crew, his guys, on our show, then he would use us, our guys, on his show, and it would be the same thing. Like it would be me and Dino, you know, or one of the other top guys that we were trying to push, just trying to get some reps. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like me and Dino didn't need reps. We just wanted to work, but yeah, but he would use other guys for reps. So yeah, it was a working relationship. It was fine. Like I mean, not that I knew anything about it whatsoever, but I've been in the business fucking 33 years, so yeah, I knew what was going on. It was fine. It was cool for us because me and Dino worked.
The next thing we see here is Stevie and the Blue Meanie talking about how they're now the fabulous ones, and they do the fabulous Jackie Fargo strut.
It's embarrassing.
Stupid.
I thought it was embarrassing. I don't like Stevie.
It's the infancy of what they're about to do. They're going to start doing different shit, and they're going to do some funny stuff down the line. It's like the first thing of them impersonating other gimmicks and Raven giving them the shitty, silly gimmicks to mimic.
Obviously, I don't know him as a person, so he could be an awesome, swell guy. But I just don't. I like Blue Meanie, but I don't know why. And I know you are a bit of a fan of him, Aaron. I don't know why Stevie Richards just rubs me the wrong way. I've never enjoyed watching Stevie
because he fucking stinks.
I don't really.
I'll tell you
why.
Fucking stinks, dude. He was the wrong guy for that fucking angle. Like it should have been me. It should have been me a long time ago. It should have been me, not Stevie. Stevie stinks. He doesn't even know about the fucking fabulous ones. Somebody probably would have had to show him tapes of that shit. I knew it before.
Raven did.
All right. Well, where do you think fucking Raven got a tape from? Like of course. I could have done that. I should have been that guy.
You know that 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon game? There should be a 7 degrees of Chad Austin game. Just name anybody in wrestling and you can get back to him in 7 moves to Chad Austin, like the Kevin Bacon thing.
Well, I mean, it didn't piss me off at the time, honestly, because I didn't know what was going on because I wasn't keeping a track of what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But then now after I watched the show, I'm like, they're all doing my fucking shit. It's all shit that I told fucking Scotty. It's all shit that I told, you know what I mean? What the fuck? You're all doing my shit. I thought like Scotty, like Stevie didn't even know what the fucking Fargo strut was. Like if you watch the fucking video, you see they don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
They're fucking lame. They're fags.
The next thing we see here is a clip of Scorpio beating El Puerto Ricano. Then we get a
best thing on the show.
Cactus Jack promo alluding to he's starting his pro WWF shtick here, kind of officially this week.
Yeah, because he's out. They know it.
Well, didn't you miss the Dudleys though?
No, they're coming.
No, they're coming up still. Then we have quick footage of the end of the Headhunters beating the Bad Crew. The Headhunters are back.
I mean, that's the one thing you can say about. That's the one thing you can say about Paul is, at least he knew that his crowd wasn't dumb. You know what I mean? Like it's like, yeah, they know you're out. You know what I mean? So let's just lean into it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm gonna talk about that more about that in a little bit. But it's like, don't shy away from it, because if you shy away from it, it's gonna be even worse. You know? So it's like, yeah, everybody knows Mick's leaving, so let's just use it to our fucking advantage while he's here. You know, it's actually pretty smart.
Yeah, don't acknowledge it.
And getting someone like Mick to act pro WWF absolutely also leans into Paulie's, us versus them cult mentality that he got his wrestlers and his fans to get into. So yeah, you're right, Aaron. I mean, this is Paulie to a T.
Like if that Cactus Jack character, Mick Foley or whatever, would either not brought it up or tried to go against and how do I say it? Like placate the fans. Like, I love the ECW. It's the greatest place I've ever been. And they know he's leaving. They're gonna be like, "Fuck you, you're lying." You know. So it's better to have him just be like, "Yeah, I'm going. I'm out. See you later, alligator." You know what I mean? It's super smart in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. I mean, like Jack knows what he's doing. Like, but Jack don't know what he's doing for the company's sake. He's only knew what he's doing for his own personal sake, right?
Hey, he's a 1099, buddy.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like he's not putting the company on his back. He's going, all right, if I can do this promo to benefit me, you know.
Yep, absolutely.
That'll work. But I mean, there's no chance I can put the company on my back. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go on CSNBC, you know, and put, you know, ECW, you know, whatever. Fuck no, I ain't doing any of that shit.
I like the fact that he sold it. I like the fact that he sold it in the feud with Shane about like saying like you didn't make like because Shane came back and was like, you know, WWF sucks and it's bad and everything. He's like, he sold it as you might have went there and failed, but I'm gonna go there and be successful.
Right. Yeah, man, it's not my fault, right?
I love the fact that he was like, in a couple weeks, you're gonna see me on Monday Night Raw putting a wrist lock on Mabel.
Yeah, Mabel.
Like he picked the one guy that he knew that entire crowd would fucking hate.
Everybody knew that name when he said Mabel.
Yeah, I mean,
wrist lock on Mabel.
Mabel would have so much heat with that crowd because literally they put the King of the Ring title on Mabel in Philadelphia in 1995.
I'll tell you one thing, Mabel was a cool motherfucker, and he had a hot ass wife. Don't ask me how. I'm not even going to fucking speculate how he got that.
You know what's another thing you got to give him is, for whatever reason, from 1993 until almost till he died, that was a guy that they constantly found something for him in that company in the WWF. You know what I mean? They were like, well, Mabel ain't working out, so you're going to be Viscera. Viscera ain't working out, so you're going to be the 500-pound love machine. Well, that's not working out. You're going to be Big Daddy V. They always found something for that motherfucker.
Yeah, and he always found the check in his mailbox every Tuesday.
Yeah, because he was smart enough to not be. He was smart enough to not say no.
Nope. I don't give a fuck what you want. I'll be Chad Austin Ford. I'll be whatever the fuck you want, dude. But I don't give a fuck. I mean, as long as I walk out to that mailbox.
Pay me.
Like, I knew him. I knew him from Memphis, from like 90s. Was it 95? Is that when he started in WWE?
No, he started in WWE in 93.
I know,
but they had that working relationship with the USWA, so you probably did see him in 95 down there.
Yeah, we crossed paths a couple of times, like down in Memphis, and like at that time, I mean, I always hated how like when the superstars guys, like they would change in a different locker room. I've always hated that. I never understood it. I never got it, you know. And Mabel, I walked into Mabel's locker room. And he's like, "Oh, this is my locker room." I go, "I don't give a fuck. This is a big ass locker room."
Well, I'm a big ass man.
You know what I mean? Like it's a big ass locker room. And he goes, "Oh, all right." And then we started talking. I'm like, "Well, how long?" You know, I told him that I knew who he was, and he didn't know who I was. And then we just ended up starting up talking, you know, because I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna be a dick, and you're not chasing me out of a locker room, you know what I mean? Because of space, you know. And he had respect for me. Dude, I ain't fucking doing that shit. Fuck that. Over there's fucking 27 guys getting dressed over there. I'm getting dressed over here. I don't give a fuck if you're a Mabel who can't put any fucking food on the table. I don't give a fuck. You know, that was our relationship. Like he didn't like me, but at the end of the night, he liked me.
Mm-hmm.
I took him out, so that's the end of that story. I took him out.
The next thing that we get here starts a sequence of what a fucking chain of events and segment this is. What's supposed to be happening, and follow along with me, folks. What's supposed to be happening is it's supposed to be the Pitbulls versus the Gangstas.
Yeah, fuck
in
that.
a no disqualification match. But for some reason, Stevie Richards comes out. Well, obviously not for some reason. It's because Francine's his quote-unquote ex-girlfriend. There's shit with marshmallow fluff. He asks her if she's pregnant. And then the Eliminators come to the ring. And this is all during what is supposed to be... All of this happens... And the match is going on between the Gangstas and the Pitbulls.
Don't forget, Nate, this is all on TV. This is all formatted for TV, right?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah. And then the way I wrote it down was at some point I just gave up writing it down. I'm not writing it down. I wrote Nate will figure it out.
Aaron, before I start going through it, Aaron, do you have anything to say here at the beginning?
I watched this and I had no idea what I watched. Like I didn't know.
So let me just run this down for the listeners. So this is a match. Remember, folks, this is the Gangstas versus the Pitbulls in a no disqualification match. During that match, 911 comes out and choke slams everybody. Then Todd Gordon and Fonzie come out and they're fighting. Taz comes out. Everybody else now is back in the ring. Gangstas and Pitbulls is officially going on. Taz puts 911 in a chokehold. 911 breaks out of the chokehold. Damn. Like these guys said, I took notes just because I was like, I'm going to do my best. I probably missed something. But, yeah, all of that happened while the Gangstas and the Pitbulls were supposed to be having a no disqualification match. This was insane.
My biggest note was why was Axel Rotten there?
Well, he was there to start it all off. I guess he was there to sing the national anthem. I mean, what do you think, Aaron?
Well, I mean, like part of me was like, okay, I can understand that all these tag teams are having this issue, and then it's like Axel Rotten shows up for no fucking reason. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
No, there's never no reason. Like Axel was the guy who was like, all right, everybody respects Axel. So he's the one that stepped in and all of a sudden said whatever he said, and they beat him all up. And then all of a sudden the fight started. And then where was Axel? Fight started. Axel was smart enough to roll the fuck out and get the fuck out of there.
I did like the fact at the beginning of it when all the fucking shit was going down at first, the Gangsters just stood in the corner because they were like, this has nothing to do with us.
Oh, sitting on the buckles?
We'll just bide our time here. But yeah, it was a big clusterfuck, and it was just, like I said, I was watching it, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm watching.
Well, I mean, it's a big schmoz, man. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It is what it is.
I can tell you one thing. Going through all the happenings of that match, running it down the way I did, I realized I need to quit smoking.
Why?
By the time I was done describing this shit, I was out of breath.
Yeah, I guess so, man. Like, I mean, everybody's running fucking. Oh my God, this guy. And now you got a whole room full of guys in the ring, and then now it's a whole different match.
And the ECW crowd ate it up, and that's at the end of the day, that's what mattered. As a TV viewer, I have a nit to pick in a little bit about this, but overall, like I said, I thought this was. I mean, there was a lot of action. There was a lot going on, and the live arena crowd really, really ate it up. But it was just very confusing to watch on television.
Dude, that's the shit the Philly crowd loves, dude. They love shit that they don't think it was planned, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like they've always loved that. And then when you send two guys out, and then all of a sudden two other guys run out, they're like, "Oh, this wasn't planned." They love that shit, dude. That's why all this worked.
Anything else in that segment, Aaron?
No, because like I said, I don't have a lot of
No.
notes on it because I just gave up. Like everybody's involved with everybody and choke slams and fucking Fonzie, and it's like, what the fuck is happening?
Yep, pretty much.
Then we quickly get a shot of Lance Wright, who looks like his hair looks like Jonathan Taylor Thomas. And then we move into here's where the Dudleys show up. It's the Dudleys, and they're supposed to be having a tag team match with JT Smith and Axel Rotten. And JT Smith is starting his Italian shtick here.
It's like, hey, how can we make JT more unintelligible? Oh, I know. Let's have him pretend to have an Italian accent. It's like, I have no fucking idea what this guy's saying. I thought it was confusing before.
That was
Now
the
it's even
whole
worse.
idea. Because I was the first person that he tried to get into the FBI, and the whole entire gimmick was for him that he couldn't even pronounce any of it. That he tried to get me into the FBI. I mean, didn't we already go over this, or has it not aired? Has it not aired yet, or was it a fucking house show that JT tried to get me on in the FBI? And I go, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. You know.
Yeah, no, we haven't seen that. So,
Well, that's what it was.
Either on a house
JT
show or
can't
maybe
talk.
on a later TV state or a later TV show. But yeah, he's trying to do the Italian thing, and Axel because essentially the crowd's chanting "What's your name?" to Bubba. JT keeps doing the Italian thing. Axel gets in his face and says, "Let him say his name so we can have our match." Pretty much.
Yeah, Axel got a raw deal on ECW, man. He could have been over. He really could have been over.
In Todd's book, he wrote that he thought that it would be instant heat with the crowd, having a black guy trying to do like the Italian American thing, and it kind of went reverse because he said the crowd, like the live crowd, was actually, even though they booed it, they were booing it because they were like, participating, but they were super into JT doing the FBI thing. He's like, I thought it would get nuclear heat, and he was like, it wasn't. It was like these people were like, this is fucking awesome.
I thought
having him come out
I
to
thought
like,
it was lame. Honestly, I thought it was lame, and I thought the heat that he got was lame. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't like JT in the gimmick. Now, once Tracy Smothers and Tommy Rich step into the gimmick, that's
Tracy Smothers.
That's entertaining as fuck.
Tracy Smothers gangbusters, man. That fucking dance. Holy shit. It's fucking great.
I agree, but we're talking about this formation of it.
I know, but I love when Tracy would hump the crowd.
You got problems, Aaron.
Well,
meet and greet wise, and I know meet and greets are whatever, but that's the funnest dude I ever met at a meet and greet was fucking Tracy Smothers. He was fucking fun as fuck. That dude was great.
I'm glad you're a big fan of Tracy Smothers.
And I'm glad I got to watch him.
I like Lord Humongous. Big fan of him.
It's the Mask.
Yeah, I don't even know who it is.
Well, Axel, like I said, Axel gets in JT's face and says, "Let the guy say his name so we can have the match." Then JT winds up decking Axel. Bubba quickly hits a Bubba bomb on JT and pins him. And then Axel and JT are in the ring, and JT gives Axel a low blow. And that's that.
Well, that's ECW, man. You know, it's funny you said that, like, and that's that. Well, why'd you team with the guy? You know what I mean? I'm gonna fucking double cross him if he loses. But you know that to me is wrestling, because I always wonder why a guy like Rick McGraw would team up with Steve King. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or you know, a guy like Tito Santana would team up with Jose Luis Rivera, knowing that guy's going to get pinned. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same philosophy. It's the way the wrestling business works.
It's like when they had it would be like on a random superstars, it'd be like Bad News Brown teaming with the Brooklyn Brawler.
Right.
What the fuck are you teaming with the Brooklyn Brawler for? You know he's gonna get pinned.
Of course. But that led into an angle, right?
Yeah, like a 1 week thing or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's certain guys that it didn't lead into an angle with. So that's the same reason why Stoney Stetson was a bigger name than me teaming with me, or Hot Body at the time was teaming with me. You know, like they didn't like it because they didn't think I was like, what the fuck is this guy doing teaming with me? You know, but it's on a much better level. You know, when you're talking about WWE, about Bad News Brown teaming with fucking, I don't know, pick a fucking name.
Well, the next thing here is the nit that I have to pick with ECW, and I get it. Sometimes you show highlights of something that is great because you want people to come to the arena. So I understand the purpose of this. But as a TV viewer, I would, other than that big mess that we watched with the pit bulls and all that fucking shenanigans, I would have much rather watched this Sabu versus RVD match. And we only got like 2 minutes of it cut up.
Well, what does that tell you?
It tells me in 1996 they were trying to get me to come to the arena to watch it live. But as a TV viewer today, I'm like, boo, I want to watch this instead of that fucking mess I just watched 15 minutes of 10 minutes ago.
My thing is, like, when I watched it, like you guys did or whatever, clip wise, they don't show you the finish. Like they show you Sabu doing that fucking insane moonsault through the table into the crowd or whatever. Obviously, I'm pretty sure Sabu probably beat Rob Van Dam. I think he didn't want to put that on TV because I think he probably didn't know, he being Paul, probably didn't know what he had in Rob when he signed him, and then watched the guy and was like, oh fuck, I don't want, like, the first time you see Sabu versus Rob loses. You know what I mean? So it's like, let's just show him what these guys can do together, but not a finish.
Well, I kind of agree.
If that makes sense.
I kind of agree because I do know what what Paul thought that he had in Rob. I just didn't think Paul knew that. Wow, you're gonna do all that? Okay, that's fucking great. Like, $550, whatever it cost him. Plus the airfare. Oh shit. Okay, buddy. Have fun.
I just think, like I said, I don't think second match on TV that he wanted to show Rob getting beat, even though it was by Sabu, who's like the Undertaker of ECW.
Of course he didn't.
That's what I think.
But
that moonsault through that fucking table into that crowd.
I saw it the same way you did, Aaron. I said, oh, well, you didn't see Rob get beat. So did Rob really lose that match? Oh, yeah, you never saw him get beat. I thought that was best for business for Rob. Yes, of course it was. Paul didn't know what fucking Rob Van Dam was going to be. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably one of the guys that I probably gave Paul tapes to. I mean, we can do a whole other show on fucking guys that I gave Paul. Sabu probably did it, but like Jericho was the guy that I gave tapes to that Paul didn't know, and I gave tapes. I gave tapes of Paul to everybody: Rob Van Dam, Scotty Flamingo. You know, I gave tapes to Paul for everybody, and it's not saying that Paul wasn't original enough to figure out, characters for anybody. It was that like I gave him tapes like you don't know what this guy's doing somewhere else,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So how are you going to figure out how to use him? And I'll go to my grave. I'll go to my grave saying that that I gave Paul, like Chris Jericho to this day fucking thanks me for giving me this job at ECW. Like me and Jericho are buddies now. At least every time he comes to Baltimore.
The next match on this show is Cactus Jack and Mikey Whipwreck, the ECW Tag Team Champions, against Shane Douglas and Tommy Dreamer. And essentially the story of this match is that Mikey's pretty much a victim of circumstance in this whole scenario because Douglas and Dreamer both have an issue with Cactus Jack. Mikey doesn't even want to be teaming with Cactus Jack. Cactus Jack pretty much just said, I'm your tag championship partner, and here we go. And poor Mikey's just in the middle of all this.
I actually like the story of the match because Tommy and Shane are like, we don't want to hurt the kid. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to fuck him up, but we'll fuck Cactus up when we get the chance. Mikey doesn't want to be there, but Mikey is no longer... I don't want to say no longer, but he's starting to mature as a wrestler. Like before, he would want to give the belts back. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want this now. I'm getting beat up. This sucks, but he's getting success. So now he wants to keep the championship. And it's like a layered story in a match. I enjoyed the match. I don't have a lot of notes on it just because I like watching it. I thought it was funny at the beginning before the match starts. The ECW crowd was singing "Hit the Road, Jack" to Cactus, and
Was that
Mikey
for you
just looked at
or Cactus?
Not to me. They were singing it to Cactus, and I like the fact that they were singing "Hit the Road, Jack" and "Don't You Come Back No More." And Mikey just kind of looked at Cactus and was like, "I don't know what to tell you, man. They don't like you." Like, I thought that was funny, but other than that, it was just an ECW walking brawl.
Pretty much, man. I can't argue with that one, man. Yeah, it was pretty much what it was.
Yeah, I mean, there's a spot in there where Mikey DDT's Tommy Dreamer on a Nintendo, and then Raven comes out. Of
Good
course,
Lord, you can't have that happening.
Has to get involved because on every episode of ECW, Tommy Dreamer and Raven have to be in the ring together at some point, right?
At least for a year, man.
It's the most interesting thing going on.
For you.
Tommy Dreamer hits a DDT on Shane Douglas. Cactus Jack goes for a pin, but Douglas kicks out. Shane Douglas with a chair in the ring. Cactus puts Shane into the chair with a drop toe hold for the pin, and Cactus and Mikey retain the titles.
As it should have been. It didn't hurt Raven. You know, it didn't hurt any of his flock. It didn't hurt any of that nonsense. It was like, oh my God, Mikey got a quick 1, 2, 3. So you move on, and then you push Mikey aside, and you still had the Mankind or whatever, Cactus Jack, whatever his name is here in ECW.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shane Douglas cuts a promo on Cactus Jack, which, oh man, he is.
Is that where he walks to the locker room and just walks through the locker room?
This
Is that what
no,
you're
this
talking
one
about?
no, this one was he was in front of a backdrop, cutting the promo on Cactus. But one thing I noted when I was writing the notes here was Shane Douglas, and this is we all age. It's no big deal. But Shane Douglas is crazy because at this you look at him at this point and he still looks young and healthy. In about 2 years or 3 years when he goes to WCW, he looks terrible. He looks like Fat Elvis. Horribly out of shape and everything. And if you see him today, he looks better than he did in this promo. So it's just kind of crazy how that works. But
I just still want to know what Walmart that he managed.
maybe that was it. Maybe getting out of wrestling and into retail actually helped somebody.
I mean, I want to know what number
he got some health insurance.
I'm Shane Douglas, 1634. Don't fuck with me.
After the Douglas promo on Cactus Jack, Joey Styles kind of gives us a synopsis of the heat, the tension that's going on with Sandman and Woman, obviously, because Woman's about to make her way to WCW. And then the match that we have is Sandman versus Raven for the ECW title. Raven now has Kimona Wanalea in his corner.
What was all that about?
Huh?
I'm glad I wasn't there when Kimona was there. Because I was single then.
I think she was 17.
I don't give a fuck. I mean, if you're in ECW arena and you're getting in that ring, you're fucking old enough. Yeah, all laws go out of the fucking window.
Well, the Sandman Raven for the ECW title, and let me get my notes together here, or get my thoughts together. All right, because there's always so much going on in these fucking matches, it's hard to take notes. All right. I put lots of shenanigans. Dreamer comes in. Cactus comes in. DDT Sandman. Cactus and Dreamer fight. Cactus misses a leg drop. DDT on the chair. Raven is champ. So Sandman loses the ECW championship to Raven. Aaron,
I should have ran
anything else? Yeah, everybody gets to run in.
Fucking me and this is me and Donnie Allen in the back arguing with each other. Like, who's gonna run in next? Me or you, Donnie? And Donnie would have said, "No, it's all you. Here's my tape of my music." Yeah, I mean, like you said, everybody ran in.
The story they were trying to tell, and Joey did a good job in commentary, was the fact that Sandman was distracted by the fact that they told it in a good way, because they were like, they technically didn't say Woman was leaving ECW. They said she was just wanting to expand her
Good point.
faction or whatever, and was going to branch out to WCW. And where I was saying, like, I think Paulie knew what these other companies were thinking. Obviously, also because Kevin was booking WCW. Like, they specifically mentioned that Woman is going to go to WCW. They didn't say WCW, but they said she's going to go and manage Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. And the first thing she did when she got to WCW was manage Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. You know what I mean? So he knew what he was doing, and he was smart in that aspect. And I think that it was a good way to get the belt off of Sandman and put it on Raven, and I didn't mind it. I thought it was a good little angle to get her out of the company, and they didn't disrespect her or anything like that, and I just enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think what you said was totally accurate, and I have no, and that's exactly what happened. Because she can go anywhere. Woman can do anything. All right?
Yep.
I mean, she's not, I mean, no company's not going to fucking hire a woman, whether Kevin's there or not.
And like I said, I know a lot of times, sometimes in ECW, they'd shit on guys or whatever, and they were leaving, but I was just glad they kind of treated her properly with it.
I agree.
Yeah, that's respectful.
And even in the angle that we see at the end of the show, or the segment we see at the end of the show, like you said, Aaron, they don't bury her in any way. She's just being a heel, you know. She essentially says to Sandman, "You can come to WCW with me." And he goes off on, he's the icon of ECW, or not icon, but you know what I mean. He's ECW all the way. And then Scorpio comes out, and they play up a little thing with Scorpio, with woman tempting him to maybe go to side with her and go to WCW. Of course, Scorpio chooses the Sandman instead. What an idiot! And then he takes woman out of the ECW arena to end the show. But I thought, Scorpio, you're an idiot from a character standpoint.
I also like the fact that hindsight being 2020, he's like, I'm ECW, I'm gonna stick with this guy, and in like 5 months, he's dancing with like the Funkettes and doing his fucking thing.
Yeah.
Wow, so much hatred for Too Cold Scorpio.
I don't have any hatred for Too Cold Scorpio.
In 5 months, he's dancing with the Funkettes.
I enjoyed that. I'm just saying, it's funny just looking back on it. He didn't know that was going to happen, and from everything, like I said, reading Todd's book, and
but there
like,
are lots,
and also, oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, there's so many instances in ECW of how many people are like, I'm ECW through and through. I'll stick with this company to the very bitter end. Oh,
until Monday Night Raw.
I'm in the WWF, baby.
Yeah, Monday Night Raw.
My plane tickets are paid for. I don't have to fly on a bereavement ticket anymore. This is great.
Like when Tommy Dreamer had too many numbers on his credit card thing. That's a classic ECW. When Tommy called Paul, I think it was like 4 of us, maybe 5, 6 of us at the airport, and Tommy called Paulie, and Paulie read off the fucking number like for the airline tickets, and Dreamer had the airline ticket written down, and Paulie had like 4 other numbers that weren't on that ticket. Like, he read the numbers off, and Paul and Dreamer goes, okay, oh, and then we all stood up like, what do you mean? Well, he didn't order any tickets.
Did you watch the show Roseanne back in the day, Chad?
I've seen it.
Well, I was just thinking, because I bet Paulie played the Roseanne and Dan Connor trick. They have a trick that it's just a funny thing to me. And like when they're paying their bills, if they don't have the money that month, they say they accidentally send the electric bill to the phone company and accidentally send the phone bill to the electric company, so that everybody's got to send everything back to everybody else. So then by the time the check's clear, they have the money in the bank.
Well, that's what I'm going through right now, man.
Like in Todd, I know I keep bringing up Todd's book, but Gordon talks about in his book, like when checks would go or Paul had to put something in the mail to send it, he'd be like, oh, here's the tracking number. And Todd said he would watch Paul give these people tracking numbers and there'd be like 5 extra numbers on the tracking number.
That's what I said.
And then Todd said, like, once him and Paul's relationship started deteriorating, Paul was supposed to send videos to this network that was going to pick up ECW, and Todd said he showed up and there was no video to show these people, and Todd called him and said, Paul, you didn't send the video, and like Paul tried to play the trick on him, and Todd was like, I know you're fucking tracking number hijinks. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're trying to pull this shit on me, and I've seen you do it to 5 other people. Or Shane Douglas saying like he'd get a plane ticket and go to the fucking ticket booth, and they'd be like, "Oh, hello, Mr. Martin. We're sorry about the loss of your sister," and he'd just be like, "Excuse me." Like, and they were like giving him like a bereavement ticket. And he was like, "Oh yeah, my sister. I'm so sad."
Hey, welcome to ECW, buddy. That's ECW. All right, are we wrapping this up?
We are indeed. I was just going to say, overall, your general opinions of this episode, guys?
I thought it was good. I give it a B minus, solid. I'm enjoying watching it.
I'd give it similar. I think it was a good chaotic show, and that's what ECW is supposed to be. It's supposed to be chaotic, and that's what it was.
Indeedly doodly. Well, that being said, we are going to sign off. We want to thank everybody for joining us here on Reliving the Extreme, and we will see you next week, everybody. Have a great week.
Thanks, guys.